Hi everyone, Tim the Plane Man here, and welcome to Plane Time Special Edition, How to Fly Your Remote Controlled Plane Legally if you're not flying under MAAC, the Model Aircraft Association of Canada. Is that possible? Well, the answer is yes, it is, because Transport Canada allows drone pilots to fly. Transport Canada allows RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems, to be flown by certified pilots according to the RPAS regulations. Well, guess what? Transport Canada doesn't differentiate between a drone, something like this, and a plane like this. According to Transport Canada, they're all RPAS, remotely piloted aircraft systems. So if you're not flying under MAAC, you can fly a remote controlled plane under Transport Canada regulations. And here's how you do that. There's 5 steps. Very, very simple. 5 simple steps. Of course, it is a little more complex than doing it under MAAC, but it's really not that bad, and I've done it. What you need to know, and the reason why I think I'm doing this video, is because I know that this is possible because I have done it. So you should be able to do it too. It's really not that hard. And here are the 5 steps. Number 1, get a pilot certificate from Transport Canada. You need a basic operations pilot certificate, just like this one here. Now, I also have an advanced pilot certificate, but you don't need that to do basic recreational flying of any radio controlled plane between 250 grams up to 25 kilograms. Number 2, register your plane. You need to register your RC plane with Transport Canada. It's $5, it's a one-time fee, easy. Number 3, find a place to fly. This one's a little more tricky, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on. Number 4, use the Nav Canada Nav Drone app to get official approval for your RC plane flight. Number 5, fly your plane. Have fun. You're legit. There's one other possible option, number 4.5. You might want to consider getting insurance. I consider that an optional step. All right, let's spend a few minutes. I'm going to go through a little more detail of each one of those steps for those of you that have looked at the basics and think, yeah, maybe I do want to fly my RC plane not under MAAC, under Transport Canada rules. Let's see how you can do that. Number 1, all you need to do is go to the Transport Canada website, to the drone safety portal, and do an exam and get yourself a basic certificate. There's an online test. It's fairly easy to do. It costs $10 to do the test, so it's probably going to cost you $20 to get the certificate, because I almost guarantee you're going to fail it the first time. The test is improved. It's the biggest problem with it includes an awful lot of information about flying planes, and maybe even some stuff about doing, using radios and things that you may not consider specifically relevant to flying an RC plane or a drone. Well, Transport Canada has been working with some of the people in the industry, including the Drone Pilot Association of Canada, and has improved the test. It's got less irrelevant questions and less very difficult technical questions, and so it's not too hard. You've got to get 80% to pass, but it's doable. I did it on my second attempt. There's lots and lots of help online on YouTube. You can go to there is organizations that will give you training and help you to pass the test. You can use, for example, Coastal Drone has a very good course that will teach you what you need to know, or you can self-study and do it yourself. That's what I did. So basic certificate is all you need. This is the basic certificate here. You don't need the advanced certificate. I have an advanced certificate, but for basic recreational flying, the basic pilot certificate will get you where you need to go. Step 2, register your drone. So on the same drone portal at Transport Canada, where you can take your exam, you can also register your drone. It's $5 to register each plane, and when you register the plane, and here's one of the key differences with MAAC, when you register the plane, the drone, you will get a registration number for that, and that registration number is for that specific plane. You need to put, as you can see here, you need to put that registration number on the plane. It needs to be on the plane when that plane flies. But it's $5, it's one time, and that registration number will never change for that drone. I also have the T1 Ranger is registered, and it has a registration number on it as well. The plane that you register, you don't have to register anything under 250 grams. So if you're going to fly, a little tiny plane and you're going to fly it indoors, no need to register that. Or even if you're going to fly a little tiny balsa or foam plane and it's less than 250 grams, you don't need to register that if you want to fly outdoors. If you're going to fly between 250 grams up to 25 kilograms, register at Transport Canada. For those of you that are flying huge planes between 25 kilograms and 35 kilograms, you've been flying under MAAC and you want to fly under Transport Canada rules, you have a problem, because MAAC allows you to fly up to 35 kilograms. Transport Canada rules only allow you to fly up to 25 kilograms. Those 25 kilogram to 35 kilogram planes under Transport Canada rules require a special flight operation certificate, which is a whole different ball of wax. And I'm not even going to go there. So that's it. Register your drone. $5, easy. Number 3, this is probably the hardest part to do. You've got to find a place to fly. Now, finding a place to fly consists of 2 things. You need to find a place where you can take off and land, and you have to have permission from the landowner to do that. Most municipalities in Canada, most provincial parks, and definitely national parks don't allow you to fly. Now that's true of RC planes in general anyway, and you probably know that. But and I have to say, I find it incredibly annoying as a taxpayer that I'm not allowed to enjoy flying my RC plane safely in a provincial park or a municipal local city park that I pay my taxes for, and I'm just told, you're not allowed to fly here. I think it's wrong, but that's a video for another day. So the best way to go is find a landowner with a large piece of land, an acreage, a farm potentially, or, and I don't know if this is possible, but it just seems to me that some RC flying clubs may be able to allow pilots to fly under Transport Canada rules, because all they have to do is give permission to take off and land, and then Transport Canada rules take off once the plane's in the air. So it seems like it should be possible. There is definitely some clubs where they are flying, for example, at a municipal park, and they have specific permission to fly under MAAC rules at that municipal park. If you're not flying under MAAC rules, it's quite likely that you wouldn't be able to fly at that particular flying field. Other parks, other flying fields, one of my favorite fields in British Columbia is a club that rents the field from a farmer. It seems to me quite likely that that club might be able to get permission from the farmer to allow pilots to fly under Transport Canada rules. Not sure why that wouldn't be possible. We shall see. However, what it boils down to, this is the trickiest thing you need to do, is find a place where you can take off and land. Once you've done the takeoff and landing part, then the next part is actually pretty straightforward, because Transport Canada rules say where you can fly. Where you can fly is pretty much uncontrolled airspace if you're using your basic certificate. Uncontrolled airspace is well documented, clearly designated. There's websites, link in the description. There's several apps. There's the Drone Pilot Canada app, which is very, very good, but you have to pay for it. There's airspace Wilco, which as a MAAC member, you probably may not know, but you actually have a license to use the app called airspace Wilco. I actually find it very, very good for planning a flight. And it's very clear about telling you if your flight is at or near an airport or a heliport or anywhere else where you shouldn't be flying, or where you are allowed to fly. And that's probably the key. Or the third app that you need to know about is NavDrone. NavDrone is the Nav Canada, Transport Canada partner, official partner, and NavDrone can actually give you approval for a specific flight. You can go into NavDrone and say, I'm going to fly here and I'm going to fly at this time, and it can check to see whether you're near an airport or a heliport. And if you press the button and say, I want to fly, it will tell you that this flight is allowed. And if it tells you that's allowed, then you're allowed to fly. And if it tells you you're not allowed, or you need to have an advanced certificate, then as a basic pilot, you're not allowed to fly. Couldn't be simpler. So I'd highly recommend getting airspace Wilco, NavDrone, and consider the Drone Pilot Canada app. I have all three. The fifth step is optional. I think I mentioned it at the beginning. The optional step is you may want to consider buying insurance. Now, if you've found a place to fly that is off the beaten path, miles away from anywhere and anyone, then you may be comfortable flying your RC plane and not having insurance. But look, peace of mind is worth a lot. And just on the 1,000,001 off chance that something might happen, it probably makes an awful lot of sense to get insurance. Now, if you fly under MAAC, MAAC provides insurance. If you're flying under Transport Canada rules, Transport Canada will give you the ability to get a license, register your drone, and provide approval for your flight, but it doesn't provide insurance. You need to do that yourself. And as a recreational pilot, the only way I've found in Canada, and I may be wrong, I'd be happy to know, and if you've got any comments, suggestions about this, please let me know. There is one place called skywatch.ai that gives you the ability to get insurance for flying your RC recreational drone or RC plane, and that is, it costs $22 a month, which, you know, if you fly 4 times, it means you paid $5 a time. Seems to me quite reasonable. And so that's the insurance that I use. I'd strongly suggest you get insurance, but it's optional. It's not required to fly legally. So if you've done those 5 things, then you can fly. You can fly your RC plane in Canada using Transport Canada rules. And it's legal. So there you have it. Step 1, get a pilot certificate, basic operations. Step 2, register your plane at Transport Canada. Step 3, find a place to fly. Make sure you have permission to fly and make sure that the flight is in uncontrolled airspace. Number 4, use the NavDrone app to get approval for your flight. Number 5, get insurance. I'd recommend you get insurance. You don't have to get insurance to be legal. Steps 1 through 4 get you legal. Step 5 gets you peace of mind. And go out and fly your RC plane in Canada. Tim the Plane Man, over and out.